Hello and welcome to the second in my series on macros for the Terrified, and this time we're going to be looking at the macro starter pack. And for now I'm going to just do the first of these two. I'm going to install the macro starter pack, and then in the next video in the series we'll actually start looking at using some of the macros in the pack. So we want to follow the instructions which are given, and it's provided as two items. There is an instruction file, so we can load that one, and we'll work on that and see what it tells us to do. So we can move that out of the way. Okay, so first of all, an introduction to macros. So what we're saying is that we need to know what a macro is. Well, I'm saying it's an app. It's just something that you use to do things on either on your phone, an app, or in our case on the computer. We can also say it's a computer program or a piece of computer code, or we can say it's a computer subroutine. They're all the same, have the same general meaning. So unlike apps where you just sort of download an app by clicking on something, when we are actually putting macros into our computer, we do actually have to handle the computer code. We have to know how to copy and paste it, and that's all. So it's not, you don't do any programming, you can just copy and paste things. Where do we copy and paste them to? Well, they're stored in a part of the computer called Visual Basic for Applications, or VBA, and we're going to copy and paste things into there in the same sort of way in which you would copy text from Word into an email or from an email into Word. It's all the same sort of idea, just select something, copy it and paste it somewhere else. So what are the elements that make up a macro? Here they are. So what we've got is a simple macro, and it has various parts. It has a sub, and I've used colours, sub and end sub, so those define the beginning and the end of a macro. So if I'm copying and pasting a macro, I have to be sure to copy the whole of it from the sub to the end sub. So the beginning and the end, and the name there, swap characters, is the name of the macro. And the importance of that is that the computer needs to know which of the macros to run, and it does it in terms of the name of the macro. And you can either select that named macro to run it from a list, or later on you can assign a keystroke so that when you press that particular keystroke it runs this particular character. This particular macro. But it's important that the name of the macro is unique. You can't have two macros with the same name, or it will throw up an error. So how do I get into Visual Basic? Well, it is different on every computer to an extent, so you have to just sort of take it step by step and see what happens. The obvious way to do it is to hold the Alt key down and press F8. So we say click Alt F8. So if I do that, then I get up a window called a macros window, and that looks like this window on the right here. And if I cancel that, it goes away again. So what we're also saying here is if that doesn't work, and it doesn't in some cases, some computers, then you can get the same effect by looking for the View tab, which is there on mine. Click on that, and then look for the Macros window there, or the Macros tab there. Click on that, and I get that window up again. One thing to watch for on laptops is that to get F8 you don't necessarily just press the F8 key. Sometimes on some computers you actually hold down a button, an FN button, so you have to hold down Alt and FN and then press the F8 key. Okay, so if if F8 brings up, if your macros window looks like either of these, either with a list of macros or with no macros at all, then you have to proceed in slightly different ways through these instructions. In most of your cases, if you're starting from scratch, you will have no macros in the computer, so yours will look like the right hand side. So we're going to work with that one. So if you have down here, if you have no macros in your list, then, well, okay, we've got to get the window up. So if I do Alt F8, get it up. So it says in the macro name slot, that's at the top where the cursor is, type the word dummy and then click on create, and this will open the VBA window, which it does. There it is, showing, as it says here, that, fine, yes, good. You two are now ready to get started, and so click Alt Q. So Alt Q will quit or leave Visual Basic. So Alt Q, or you can get it off the File menu, and that's File at the bottom here, Close and Return to Microsoft Word. Alt Q, there it is. So that closes that down. Okay, right. We're now ready to add the starter pack macros. So the first thing we have to do is to open the starter macro file. So open, there it is, the starter macro. So click on that one and click open. Let's just make it a bit smaller so you can see the rest of the instructions. So then it says, so we've done that, open the file, click Control A to select all the text, and then Control C to copy it. So Control A, Control C to copy it. Don't close that. It doesn't tell you to close that file, so don't close it. Now click Alt F8 to bring up the macros dialog box again, and it says make sure that in the macros in slot, that's under here, this little bit here, macros in, make sure it says either normal.m global template, which mine does, or all active templates and documents. So we've done that, that's okay. So now click on edit, as edit, click on that, and the VBA window, the Visual Basic window, will open. Click Control End, and that moves right to the very end of the Visual Basic window, and then it says underneath there, it says, oh, press enter to get a blank line. That's just me, I'm a bit OCD, I like a blank line between each macro and the next, and then click Control V, and that pastes in all those macros, all those nice new macros. So we've pasted the macros, right, Alt Q again to quit VBA, Alt Q, there we go, and then move that up a bit. So now click Alt F8 to bring up the macros window again, Alt F8, there it is, and there we go, we've now got a list of the macros there. The list should now have a lot of macros, yes it does. The name Add Keys should be selected, if not click on it, and then click Run, and a confirmation box will appear. So it says yes. Okay, that's because the cursor was in the instructions. If I put the cursor in the instructions where it's supposed to be, and then I run the Add Keys macro, run, there we go, it now says 21 shortcut keys programmed. So not only are the macros installed, but you've also got shortcut keys ready to use them. So there we go, and what we then have is a list here which tells you what macros you've got available and gives you the shortcut keys that are assigned to each of those macros. I won't go any further than that for now. We'll move on to the next video in which we'll actually start using some of these. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.